Let's see who can hear the signal clairvoyantly. Like, you know how it is. I like to put out these telepathic signals and see if the soul fam can actually feel this shit. Like, I know it's kind of late. I know certain people will be fast asleep. But let's see who out of the soul fam can hear this beacon here. Do you get me? I like these little experiments because it shows the oneness of all things and consciousness. So let's give it a minute and see if anyone tunes in. If not, we'll probably do this tomorrow. It's kind of like an experiment, yeah? So we got one person, yeah? Let's see who else can hear the signal. It's tuned into that frequency. Because it's never a bad time to talk about current events and the confusion and the many happenings that's going on within and around us, right? So let me try a thing and see if people actually pick up the signal. Say God is a frequency, right? Yo, let's amplify this frequency and see who tunes in, and we'll have a little chat. Why not? Especially in a world today where there's not enough dialogue no more. We're not even in a democracy. Nobody don't want to have a like alternative opinion about nothing, you know? Have I got a prayer in here? That I can say quickly. Wicked. The prayer of the answers, yeah, from the golden child. Yeah? Barkalum. O Heavenly One, the Most High, who is the sustainer of all the worlds, we do accept the duty you have lain on us to clean up the filth made by the West and its non-submitting fools. O my sustainer, we beseech you to keep your hands over us, to control the strings of the courses of our lives, our sustainer. And if we do disagreeableness, please show thy divine and forgiveness on us. You are the only one that can raise us true followers of the news bearers. And in thy name we carry on an anthem for all. Amun. Yeah, guys. Let's kick off. Who was that? Yo, what's going on, Melinda? What's going on, Gino? Wagwan, Gino Dea. Yeah, man. Shout out, Daddy. Shout out the Soul Fam. I just wanted to speak, man. And I took these notes last night, but it was a bit late, so I didn't bother go ahead with no live or nothing. But for today, I just kind of refined a few of these notes just to talk about a couple points relevant to the now, right? So I know people are busy and not everyone's in the forum, so I don't know how much of you may have seen what I posted in the forum earlier today. It was early morning. We posted about the comment that Lord Rothchilds has made, apparently saying the truth doesn't matter no more, and how nobody's speaking about the veracity of that statement or unpack the minor details of it. So I put the article in the Telegram forum, and if you open the article, the details of it, man, it sounds like whoever wrote that article, it sounds like it could have been me who wrote it, but they wrote in more of the Queen's English kind of way. But it's exactly the same thing I've been saying when I'm telling people right now the truth is obscure. The truth is not clear no more to the average person in the world. It's something that's very obscure. So what the Rothschild said, he wasn't lying. He was pointing out a very profound truth, a very big problem and issue with our current society or groupthink society. So according to Mr. Rothschilds, truth doesn't matter no more. Do you understand? And he says because people are weak and they don't care. Because people are weak and they don't care, and they really believe that their government's protecting them, you know, with institutions like the police and the justice system, They have an economy, so the government's trying to put you in work. They really care for you. They pay you a wage. They give you a pension. They've got a healthcare system. So the truth is obscure because people really don't need much to believe in that, which is a conspiracy theory in itself. All they need is to get paid and be in a position of comfort where they have a wage coming in, they have a roof over their head. The average human being can't do with inconvenience, not in our modern society. In times past, it's easy for humans to give up a few conveniences just so we can initiate change in our society. We might have to give up some shit. Like, not much people can go without electricity or go without, their drink or going to people, the vices that people have clung to because of the weakness of humanity. A lot of people will talk a good game, but that's as far as it goes. They're not going to resist. We're dealing with a generation of weak humans. So it doesn't matter how much truth you give them in the face of what I just said. They're getting a wage. Their government's paying them. They've got a job. They've got a roof over their head. They've got a healthcare system if they need to go, if they get sick or whatever. So whatever truth you're telling them flies in their face. They're not really good. They're going to shut it out. Do you understand? We're in a society, a modern society of very weak-minded humans who can't do for a moment without any of the conveniences that society's handed out to us right now, like heating and electricity and all the things that make this easy for us to just cruise through this life, this society. So when this Rothschilds has made this statement, the article points out that a lot of these truth talkers, like your David Icke and your Alex Jones and them, nobody's really speaking about it. None of them have mentioned it and the significance of what this Rothschilds is saying or tried to go against it, because he's saying the truth don't matter no more. So that means everybody out here, like myself, that is trying to champion the truth and portray the truth as a champion that cannot be defeated and cannot be hidden like the sun and the moon. We supposed to be attacking this statement that this big fish Rothschilds has said. But like I said, your mainstream people, nobody's talking about it. Why? Why is people like David Icke and fucking Alex Jones, even people like Russell Brand, why is no one talking about this shit? I call them guys, all them people I just listed, the sensationalists. They like to sensationalize tidbits of truth, but none of them have mentioned this statement, what this Rothschild has said about the truth doesn't matter no more. If you ask me, Jadefre Memnon, the truth is undisputed and undefeated. It cannot be hidden no more than you can hide the sun and the moon. You may be able to hide it for a while, but the truth is going to come out. You cannot defeat the truth. Truth is like time. So therefore, truth is always relevant. Truth is always going to matter. It doesn't matter if we're in a dumb society. It doesn't matter if people ain't smart enough to recognize the truth. The truth always matters. If it doesn't matter, that means everything we're doing out here to fight this demiurge and to bring change into the world doesn't matter, because the truth don't matter. And as I said in the previous live, the enemy is the truth. And because we're attached to the truth, being called truthers and red pillars and everything, therefore we're the enemy. The truth is the enemy. And the truth is the enemy because we're in a world of lies. The world is a lie, it's a stage. So now what we're seeing happening is they're attacking what's left of humanity, and they're doing it in a few ways. Well, I'll give you a few examples. We've spoken about organizations and institutions and how they're really more dangerous than we've been led to believe. Like these small little groups, yeah, and organizations that have so much say over how we experience life in this dimension. Okay, now, what was I going to say there? Certain groups are being used in society to erode family values, like this whole transgender movement and gender fluidity and stuff. And the music industry with how it promotes slut culture, and even the marriage system, how a woman can go and cheat and then divorce and then have half of the man's shit and all of that type of stuff. Everything All these organizations in our society are Luciferian organizations, and there's an attack on what's left of humanity. So there's an attack on being brave or being outspoken. There's an attack on masculinity. There's an attack on the truth. Any truth that kind of exposes the fantasy of these narratives that they're giving us out here. Organic spirituality, like I said, family values. Yeah, gender is under attack. Just like they don't want you to call yourself a man or a woman. So all of these little things is an attack from Satan or Luciferianism, because this world is set up so that your ego can prosper. It's not set up for you spiritually. So whatever religion you're dealing with, whether you're dealing with Quran or Bible or Torah or Mahabharatas, all the core values of what would make you be spiritual being and what encourage you to be a righteous spiritual human being is like in society, they're all the things that is kind of like glorified. You understand? Like sleeping around, smoking, taking drugs, being half naked. Greetings to Empress Lotus. Being half naked, adultery. Do you know what I'm saying? All the transgenderism. You know what I'm saying? Like all of this stuff here, when you're reading your spirituality or your religious rites in your scriptures, these are all the things that go against the laws of the Most High. But in the real world, all of these things, none of them are a crime. Like you're not going to go to jail if you sleep out on your wife or you sleep out on your husband. You understand? So it's an attack on what's left of humanity. And the biggest part of it was this psychological weapon that we're going to call the wonton soup that they're giving to people. This wonton soup is convincing people to allow somebody you don't know the character of that doctor or that politician or that pharmaceutical inventor. You don't know that person. That person could be Hannibal Lecter. That person could be you understand, a Hitler type dude. You don't know the nature of these people. You don't even know what's in that shit. That's like if somebody gave me this drink and says, listen, Jadefa, you have to drink this drink, but we're not going to tell you what's in the drink. You have to drink it because it's going to help you. Everyone has to drink it. I can't tell you what's in this shit, you know. I don't know what's in there. It could be cyanide in there. It could be strychnine poison in there, polonium-210. All types of shit could be in there. But they want me to drink it. So with the wonton soup, it's the same thing. If they can convince you to put something in your body on the basis of equality, like all humans, we need to be equal. All of us need to fight this thing together. So we all need to be equal. This same crap they're giving you with religious. All men were created equal and all this bullshit. But one man can't stand in the sun and one man can stand in the sun. And one man's this tall and one man's that tall. And one man's this fast and one man's that fast. It's crazy. Yeah, but they're giving you this same concept of equality to sell you down the river so that you will allow somebody to give you this cup of wonton soup that you don't know what's in it. Do you understand? Because the moment they do that, the moment you accept that psychology, you're going to accept when they say, okay, now you have to have a camera in your house because everyone has to have a camera in your house. Okay, now you have to give up all your wealth and your money because no one's going to own anything no more. Like, they're trying to put you into that groupthink thing. And from the moment you can allow these aliens to be injected in you, yeah, without knowing what's in there, they're not even telling you what's in there. There's not even no words on that leaflet when you open them boxes and shit. That's a psychological conditioning to condition humans to accept authority on the basis of security and health and collectivism and all of that stuff. There is a trick. And when you read this document where the Rothschilds was saying truth doesn't matter anymore, he actually speaks about this. He says, listen, if people can allow that stuff to be put in them, they're going to allow anything after that. Do you understand? Them people that fell for that trick, they're going to allow anything after this. Okay, you have to give up your house. Nobody can have houses no more. We're all just going to live in a big hall. Yeah? Global warming or climate change or whatever. All them people that took that wonton soup, they're more likely to do that or move to where authorities want them to move. They're just going to start operating like puppets from here forward because there's a certain type of remote control that goes with that kind of gene therapy without getting into those details. So what we're seeing is this Luciferian conspiracy that's been gaining power for so long and running this same plan for so long, these protocols of the learned elders of Zion, they're now directly attacking what's left of humanity. Yeah, they're attacking the brave, the outspoken, the ones online who are really giving you the business, who are the real resistance. We're humanity's last hope. Yeah, and what we're seeing is a psychological warfare. All of it is to do with psychology. And because we've been conditioned by this mass media for so long, some of us can't even see the matrix. Like Morpheus was saying, nobody can explain what it is. You have to experience it. You have to figure it out for yourself. Yeah. So now we've gone from democracy, which was already a sham, but at least it was trying to be a sham, to an outright dictatorship, dictator kind of capitalism, dictatorship, which is run off corporate companies. Yeah. Based on these bloodlines, not only the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, but all types of bloodlines like the Sinclairs and the Warburgs and the Windsors and the Sauds and the Lee family of China, all these different bloodlines, which by the way are connected with each other. They all are connected with each other, even people like Obama. Okay. And so all this shit, yeah, that you see happening, yeah, like I say, in many of my lives, you can trace it back. Because even the relationship between blue bloods like ex-president Barack Obama and Dick Cheney, I trace them back to Charlemagne II. But there's an ancestor that they both have that's even later than Charlemagne II. Because you got like Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracul, yeah, and you've got like Charlemagne II, but you've also got John Lackland, who was a king in England from 1198 to 1216, and he was the one who signed the Magna Carta in 1215. All of your politicians, except one politician named Martin van Bomen, and this Martin van Bomen was from 1837 till 1841. He was an American president. He's the only one who doesn't trace back to this English king named John Lackland, who signed the Magna Carta. And I even believe the John Lackland geezer himself is related to Charlemagne II. But all of these, like I've told you before, blue blood politicians are related, and they go back further than John Lackland and Charlemagne II and Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, because when you go back to your scriptures, and it tells you about figures like Ibrahim, who they changed into the myth of Abraham. These were black people who went and started civilizing these, if you want to call them caveman or Mzungu. We started certain ones of us started thinking, yo, the best thing we can do with these beastmen that keep coming and stealing our women and pillaging our nations, living on the fringes of our empires and shit, the best thing we can do is give them some knowledge and kind of wise them up. So one agenda of us tried to wise up these people and found out, yo, that's the wrong thing to do, because you just made them smarter and more cunning at being deceptive. But people like Ibrahim and his father Tibihu, who became the Abraham and his father Terach of your Torah and your Ibrahim of your Quran. Yeah, this is the same black story that they've mythologized into this Abraham character. But the main gist of it is that he went up into the mountains, Abraham's father, Terach, and he was given a mission to civilize these lepers, to give them certain amounts of knowledge, to teach them how to cook meat and be hygienic and walk on 2 feet and all of that stuff. But they turned on him, killed him and ate his ass. Yeah, and this is backed up in the Torah, in the fact that the Torah says Abraham was given the law 500 years before Moses. So this means not just a law, like the law that you court systems and shit. The law, just that word in Hebrew, is Torah. Torah means the law or the instructions. So if it's saying that Abraham had a Torah or had a law be 500 years before Moses, yeah, that means Abraham also had a Bible, a Torah, yeah, which today is called the Arabic Bible, because it was written in Abraham's language, which was a form of Arabic. It wasn't Hebrew. So they have in the Middle East today, yeah, Arabic Bibles from the time of Abraham, what Jews and different sects of people still read from. You understand? They call God Allah and everything, even though they're Jew, because they're reading from the Arabic Bible. So therefore, that's why some people call the Star of David the Star of Abraham, because he had his own Torah, he had his own law before David and before Moses. But anyway, that comes from the story of the family that was sent from Chaldea, from Sumeria, a high priest of Anu, someone from that family named Ibrahim. He crossed over into what's called Canaan today, where Israel is today, to try and take over where his dad failed and civilize the lepers, because his dad went up into the Caucasus Mountains to try and do it. He died trying to do it. And Abraham did it in Mount Seir, which is in Lebanon, in a valley in Israel, Lebanon. You have mountains called Mount Seir, where a lot of them cave people came out and mixed with the Israelites and children of Esau and stuff. Abraham went up there to civilize the lepers, and to a certain extent, he was successful. That's why Mzungu people celebrate Abraham, whether it's Arabs, whether it's Ottoman Turks, whether it's white Christians or Ashkenazi Jews. They celebrate the name of Abraham. Why? It's like if you say, they won't celebrate Malcolm X. He never did nothing for them. You'll never have a Malcolm X Day, but you'll have a Martin Luther King Day. Why? Because Martin Luther King did shit for them. He was like, yo, fuck racism, little white boys and little girls. So they give him a day. They'll give him a street and shit. So anytime you hear a figure being celebrated in history, yeah, if he's a black melanated person, then he's definitely did something that benefits white folk. And that's why they call him the father of many nations, because he went there to teach them how to cook meat, to teach them how to wash their skin, to teach them how to trim their hair so they can have like bodily hygiene and stuff, and get rid of germs, to teach them how to wear clothes, to teach them how to walk upright, teach them certain things about speech and God and heaven. And he taught them so much, they celebrated him. It even tells you in the Bible, he had white people friends. So when it says the three Hittites, Mamre, Eshcol, and Anna were the friends of Abraham, they're Hittites, they're white folks that he was friends with. That some of them taught him how to eat meat. You understand? They taught him bad things, where he picked up habits from them. But to keep it moving, yeah, that happened again and again. Yeah, that's the earliest time if we trace back to the story of Abraham, which is more than, you could say, 4,000 years ago at least. That's one of the times when we tried to civilize the beast. Yeah, first it was his dad failed. Then it was Abraham. Abraham was successful. Some of them were able to civilize, where now they're more, they're not as rough, they're not as barbarian. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have now, instead of just cave people, you have a new type of Mzungu now, like white Babylonians, white Chaldeans, white Sumerians, white Elamites, Mongoloid Chinese taking over from the black Chinese, the Zia and the Shia, because now they're smarter. We've civilized them. We've given them more brain power. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the same happened with Moses. Abraham brought a lot of them out of the mountain, and they were living among him. If you read the Bible in Genesis, it tells you, because the Anunnaki were giving him laws, saying, okay, well, you can't mix with them. Even though they might be able to live in your house and stuff, you're not to lie down with them. Like if you go to Genesis 24:3 and 28:1, these Anunnaki, or God, is racist, because God's telling Abraham, well, you civilized them and they're your friends and all that, but yo, you can't sleep with them, and they can't get circumcised, and they don't come under the covenant and all this types of shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then it happened with Moses. Remember when I say Abraham and Moses, that's all a myth thing. But there's real characters like Tutmosis the First. When they're talking about Moses, Tutmosis the First was another one who tried to civilize these lepers, because they were attacking Egypt. So he thought, okay, like's been done before, I'm going to try to give these niggas a bit of light. So they stopped running up in here as some barbarian shit and figure out how they can just live in their own zone with a civilized mind. So Tutmos, the Pharaoh Tutmos, the Nesubeti, he tried to do it with them in his time. And he's responsible for getting the Torah into the form that it is. Because when you say Tutmos, you're really saying Jehutimos, or the student of the Neter Jehuti, who's the God of knowledge. And the Torah comes from Neter Jehuti through Tutmos, who was his student. Do you see what I'm saying? So all of these characters I'm giving you here, like Terah, Abraham's dad, Abraham himself, Tutmoses, who they mythologize as Moses, yeah, we tried to civilize these people. And it's the same with later with people like pharaohs like Ramesses and stuff. He tried to do the same thing. The reason why I say this and giving you this part of the information is for you to understand after this of us trying to civilize these people become different. Now you're going to get characters like the Hittites. Do you understand? Who is not the same type of Mzungu, simple-minded caveman like before. This is a war machine right now. He's got a bit of your intelligence. You understand? He's got a bit of Homo sapienness in him now. Also because they've been mixing into our seed. Do you understand? So I want you to understand also, you get really sophisticated Mzungu now, like Charlemagne II, who come from these mixings and these upgrades from us giving them certain wisdom and certain knowledge, even if it's only 3 degrees of information that they can turn into their entered apprentice, fellow craft, master mason, or their Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Like that's us giving them that shit there. And what little bits and pieces they stole themselves in the time of that great contact. Do you understand what I'm saying? You got people now like Charlemagne II. You got people now like William the Conqueror. You got people like Philip of Macedon, who's Alexander the Greek's father. All these people are people now who are upgraded. It's not the same type of Tamahu we was dealing with before we started trying to civilize these people. You understand what I'm saying? And then also in the time of the Moors, which is 711 AD, that was, you could say, one of the biggest times where we went into Europe and we've seen it as we had to civilize these people because they were living so nasty. If you think we're in a pandemic now and that this Rona thing is anything bad, go back and study what they're calling the Black Plague or the bubonic plague and how it wiped out half of Europe and had the Pope lock up in the Vatican because he didn't even want to go outside to be exposed to this shit here. You understand what I'm saying? The bubonic plague and certain things that they lick on us today, yeah, and tell us, oh, it's dengue and it's yellow fever and this is this. And what's the one where people were bleeding out all their orifices, like out their ears, out their nose, out their mouth? Was it SARS? One of them. That's just bubonic plague. Because they don't get rid of none of this shit. They store them shit in cold freeze. And when they're ready, yo, we got too much people here because they're on this depopulation thing. Yo, let's let it off here. That's the same bubonic plague and shit. Do you see what I'm saying? But anyway, in the time of the Moors, 711 AD, we crossed over into Europe through Gibraltar and went into Spain and Portugal and stuff. And we had to start giving them knowledge about hygiene and cooking their meat and stuff because there was all types of diseases and viruses that was starting from Europe and spreading around the place. So it was spreading east and spreading south into Africa and stuff. So the way the Moors were and how hygiene they were, like we invented soap and all that shit there, and showing people how to take not to take public baths, but to take a bath every day on yourself, not a bath out there in the middle of town with 10,000 other people in the same dirty water once a month. We had to start showing them certain civilized acts and how to act civilized and take them away from their beast-like nature. And this goes back to the same story in the Bible that we've spoke through to you when we've gone deep on the Anunnaki and stuff. And we speak about how when Tarnush was defeated, Michael or Amun-Ra and them took Tarnush's son, who was half Anunnaki, half reptilian, who we're calling today Satan, and they tried to reform him. They thought, okay, because his mum's Anunnaki, maybe if we take him with us and raise him as one of us, we can override his like Tarnush genes, his reptilian genes. Maybe we can just like teach it out of him and just hope that he just sticks into his mother's genes and shit. And then after a certain time, it says, yo, they seen that it couldn't be done. It's the same with these Tamahu Mzungu. After a while, even though some were civilized and stuff, ultimately it can't be done. The devil can't be reformed. Do you understand? But anyway, with the Moors, from 711 all the way till they got kicked out of Europe. So they was there 700 years because they tell you Columbus, yeah, under Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, kicked the Moors out, their last stronghold, which was Granada in Spain in 1492. And so they gave Columbus ships and said, yo, bruv, you can sail now because we kicked these black bastards out of Spain. Because remember when he first went to this king and queen for assistance to do this trip, they said, yo, we're busy fighting the Moors and we're just about kicking their ass. So hold that note and come back after we've kicked their ass. So after he heard that Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand had united their two lands into Spain and kicked out the Moors, he went back to ask for these ships. And because the Moors had ships there, where because they're kicked out now, that the Muzungu just take all their shit. So all the technology that was there from the Moors, they inherited it. Whether it's astrolabes, compasses, ships, fucking all of the knowledge of the Moors, they inherited that shit and gave Columbus 3, 4 ships. You understand? But in that time, we had given them certain knowledge. We had raised them out of squalor. Because remember what I said, since Greece and Rome and stuff, if you leave them alone, they regress. They have to interact with us, people of the South, to keep progressing. Because if they're left to themselves, Tamahu, their birth rate is so low that they won't have enough babies anyway. And fucking, they'll just regress in their knowledge to the point where they forget about Greece. They forget about if Troy was real, if Rome was real, everything's a myth. They have to go and dig that shit up. Because they regress, they forget the facts. You understand? So by the time they kicked the Moors out of Spain, 1492, that led to what's called a European Renaissance, or a period of enlightenment, where they was trying to go back to the peak, like how Europe was when Greece was around, or how Europe was when Rome was around. So that's why they call it enlightenment. They got this shit from the Moors. After the Moors spending 700 years from 711 to the 1400s around these Muzungu, and not just in Spain. We've gone way up to Sweden and shit, where Vikings is and stuff. We're fucking in India and China and shit. It's not just Spain. That was just the gateway into Europe. Britain, Germany, everything. There's Moorish turf. So that's why you got places in England like the Yorkshire Moors, where they want you to just think it's just a convenient name. Nah, that's nigga, that was one of the Moors' strongholds here in Britain. Tawny, black, woolly-haired Moors that ran shit here. And the Moors were the knights. All the poetry about knights in shining armor and chivalry and shit, that weren't talking about no barbarian Muzungus. That's talking about Moors, black skinned Moors. Do you understand what I'm saying? Othello, all of that shit, all them Shakespeare stories and that, it's talking about the legacy of the Moors. And everything we see here in Europe today in terms of the infrastructure of like hygiene and mannerisms, etiquette, even like the sewer system, pipes that take the waste away from your toilet, flushing the toilet, all that shit's Moorish. None of that shit comes from Muzungu. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say is, after contact with us, we've made a more dangerous type of Muzungu. Do you understand? And it resulted in people like Philip of Macedon and Alexander the Greek and Charlemagne II and Vlad Dracul and all of that. The second, Vlad the Impaler. All of them types of people, Madame Blavatsky, Alice A. Bailey, and all them people who went on to form Lucifer Publishing Company, which now controls your UN. So this is how far it goes. Some people might think what we're talking about here is nothing. But these people we're speaking about that have these kind of vampire, Dracula, Satanist connections are not just people in society. These are the people that are running our fucking society. These are the people that are spinning out these fucking narratives every day. The UN is one of the most talked about things in the world, like it's something good for us, like it's stopping the world from having a world war and stuff. I've just gave you the beans. Alice A. Bailey, Google her. It's called the Lucis Trust. Go and see that I'm giving you a fact. This shit, it was called Lucifer Publishing. And she's a student of Madame Helena Blavatsky, that whore who used to provide girls for all of the politicians and Satanists and Luciferians. That's what Madame means. She used to provide the host for these politicians and shit. Do you understand? And she was the demon who was in contact with a certain jinn that exposed her to all types of different spirituality that she bashed together and called Theosophy. And today they call it the Theosophical Society and spin out all this fucked up information where people think it's something good, but it's just another mind trap. So these are the people that are now shaping our societies and telling us how we have to behave when we have viruses come out and stuff. Organizations like the WHO, the UN, all these people are run by the Lucis Trust, by these same people who trace back to these same, we'll call them Muzungu 2.0. Yeah, these people are backed by the demiurge. So even if when you study figures like Alexander the Greek, they raw tell you in his story that his mom used to worship in a temple where they worshipped the serpent. They worshipped Lucifer or the Alpha Draconians. So Alexander and them used to call themselves the son of the dragon. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the same goes for Vlad Dracul. He used to call himself, yeah, the son of the dragon. So did his dad. This is how these guys roll. All of them dabbled in certain sorceries and certain satanistic, Luciferian doctrines to connect and communicate with entities, what we're calling today Alpha Draconians and Archons and Greys and Tall Whites and Aldebarans. They made contact with these people, and from my research, I believe that this was when they brought these demons back into play. We're talking from 711 AD till about 1600s, where they brought these demons back in on the planet, and because they were dabbling so heavy into these types of magic and stuff. And I blame the Moors because a lot of times, especially in America, the Moors, they like to portray the Moors today. They like to portray the Moorish history and the Moors as some kind, like just all good, like they never did no wrong. But a lot of the Moors started becoming egomaniacs and becoming greedy and forgetting who they was. So a lot of them started like mixing with the Zungu. A lot of them started till it became like a status symbol for Moors to have a white woman or to have a Mzungu woman. They started bleaching themselves out. They started messing in certain stuff they shouldn't be messing with. They started putting certain Mzungu in slavery and making like illicit trades out of white women and shit. These is real facts that we have to deal with as black people, and that the Moors need to be pulled up on. And so they started going against each other too. You had like the Bays versus the L's or whoever else. They had about three different ones of them. One of them, I can't tell you which one it was the sellouts. So if you ask me, when the Moors made their Moorish empire, they got slacked and they stopped checking certain things that were happening under their watch. So while these Tamahu or Mzungu were waxing strong under their watch, they were also waxing strong in certain kind of like occult knowledge and dabbling in things like devilment and shit. Do you understand? And so when the Moorish Empire fell, it left them Mzungu in a very strong fucking position to take all of that information they had learned and all of that technology that the Moors had to run and leave, and even became even more powerful. So first they started by dealing with their own people. Like if you take Charlemagne of France, he deal with France, and then France become influential till it can start spreading out, till it spreads out all the way to fucking Bosnia and the Eastern Bloc and shit. So Prussia and Germany and all that shit comes under the French Empire, even England and shit in the time of Charlemagne. He spreads out, and then they start terrorizing their own fucking people and having influence over their own people. And then when when empires like the Moors fall, that gets filled in. People like Charlemagne and them take their all of them fucking lands there and boss it over their land. So they wax stronger and stronger and stronger till they can set sail and come to your fucking country now and come and take your shit. So they started waxing stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger once we started giving them all this knowledge. They never even had boat technology or none of that shit before the Phoenicians gave it to the Argonauts, who were Greeks, who were white Greeks. You understand what I'm saying? So they started influencing their own regions and terrorizing their own people before they came out of their lands and started terrorizing indigenous people. They were doing all that witch hunt shit and inquisition shit on themselves. They were killing up their own communities and killing up their own populations, practicing on their own first before they set sail as colonialists and came over to our uh, paradises, and all the shit they was practicing on their own people. They're now masters of torture. They came and fucking tortured us, and they're still doing it. So Moors became divided and diverse. They became less cohesive. There was many different ideologies of them and shit. And the Moorish Empire fell apart from the inside, from greed and neglect and all of that type of shit. And the Moors got complacent to the point where slavery happened under their fucking watch. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it ain't all good when it comes to the Moors. And they also responsible for making the Tamahu even smarter than they had been made in the time of Abraham and the time of his father and shit. The Moors gave them Freemasonry. The Moors freed them from the slavery that they had put them in. So they freed the Slavics, where the word slave comes from. and gave them 3 degrees of wisdom, which I was telling you with the cooking of meat and the things and certain spiritual stuff and that, just to see how they would act with it. But that was enough to make them even worse, to make them what they are today. Do you understand? And that started, you can say, the period of colonialism, because they had heard all the stories from the Moors and stories about King Abu Bakari, Mansa Abu Bakari, and his brother Mansa Musa sailing to the west to a greater Morocco, a land full of riches and fertile land. They had heard all of that shit, and kingdoms of gold in the Indus Valley and all. They heard all of that shit. So they now turn into colonialists. You understand? They want to go to greater Morocco, which is America, which has been called places like Atlan and Mexem. All of that shit there's America. You get me? Amaru Khan. Places like Peru and that. Yeah? And we're in a time now, like I said, Rothschild said, the truth doesn't matter no more. I've said this. I've said, listen, people will ignore all the work that Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henrik Clark, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Ashwa Kwesi, Kaba Kameni, Professor James Smalls, Drusilla Dundee Houston, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. I could call out bare names. People will sleep on these teachers and all the solid work, body of work that they done to bring us out of the dark ages of the ignorance of ourselves when we didn't know nothing about ourselves. These superhumans came and dug up our shit, dug up our past in the face of all this Eurocentric, racist Egyptology and shit. They found the motivation and the drive and the determination and the tools, yeah, and the articulation to bring our truth from the fucking mist of time into the now, yeah. And we have a problem as black people of just sleeping on it. Like even today, people will ignore all the work Van Sertima did to show you that the original Olmecs came from Africa. They're African people. They might not be slaves, they never came on slave ships, but they definitely came from Nubia, from Africa. Dr. Henrik Clark saying, you understand? Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, one of the biggest contributors to the black awakening in modern times. People will sleep on his work. And you will never see the Muzungu sleeping on Plato or Socrates or Aristotle or Nostradamus or Edgar Casey or Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein or Galileo. They will never sleep on their own, even if they don't believe that shit, Darwinism or whatever. They will make sure Darwinism is the biggest name in the world and everybody knows what Darwinism is and who Darwinism is. The same for Newton or Einstein or fucking George Washington or Thomas Cook or whoever else. As long as he contributed to putting that race, their race, in a better position, especially in the eyes of other races. But us black people, we want to tear down. We want to tear down and ignore. You understand? We don't understand what kind of jewels we were given with certain books like The African Origin of Civilization, Sheikh Anta Diop, or Stolen Legacy, Professor James Small. You understand? We don't teach that shit to our children. We turn on the TV and listen to fucking Muzungu. Or we go to education, university, college, and we learn about Shakespeare. Or we learn what they want us to fucking learn. But the people who painstakingly is our own Aristotle, is our own Shakespeare, is our own Plato. In this 2022, we still don't fucking immortalize these people. We don't want to listen to them. It's a madness that's going on. It's like a lot of people in the black community is backwards that make me think, yo, half of these people must have been born out of Batty. No disrespect. They must have been born out their arse. You understand? Because the whole shit's backwards. But yeah, you will never see them putting aside their fucking Plato or their Socrates or their Aristotle or Pythagoras or whoever else. Even though they know full well some of these guys outright lied and chat shit. You understand? But they won't discredit them. They still have them teaching in every uni. This is how you supposed to have your own people, man. Them people that I just called, rest in peace, justified, true voice to all of them. It's how you supposed to have your own people, but we don't. We want to listen to everybody else's shit. We want to listen to some Arabs talk about Islam, like they came up with the concept. Or we want to listen to some fucking Romans talk about fucking Christianity. Like the real Joshua don't got shit to do with no Roman Christianity. Do you understand? Or we want to hear about some fucking Israelite Hebrew doctrine based on a King James fucking Bible that didn't come around till 1611 AD. So what did the Israelites have in their own time? What was their fucking Bible? Do you know what I mean? It's just all backwards. And then you got the infamous RH factor, where you got black people saying that RH factor, if they've got it, then it's some godly shit. And then you've got another group of black people that tell you that's some fucking animal DNA, monkey DNA. Yeah? And then you've got white people, like that you watch on Asian Aliens and shit, and say, oh, RH negative blood is the most special blood in the world. And you've got me, Jedefre, who's been saying for so long that RH stands for rhesus. There ain't nothing special about that. Rhesus is a monkey. It's a rhesus monkey. RH negative blood is rhesus monkey fucking blood. That's what it is. That's why 90% of Tamahu have that shit. Do you understand? They have the highest percentage of RH negative blood because they come from simians. Do you understand? But people are still going on like it's some kind of, oh, it means that they're slashed with Anunnaki or some shit like that. Nah, nigga, it means they the fucking creatures that the Anunnaki was making, mixing them with all types of different creatures. Yeah, so look into that for yourself and hold me to it. RH stands for rhesus monkey blood, where they first found that blood. Yeah. So I wanted to make y'all aware that the 20th century is known as the age of information, but it shouldn't be called that. It should be called the age of misinformation. The age of information is now, where we're unlearning all the misinformation that we had just sat through for the last 100 years of the fucking 20th century. That's the age of misinformation, where they're telling us the moon's made out of fucking cheese, the cow jumped over the moon, the fucking earth's a football with water on it that don't fall off. They're giving us all this false shit. That was the age of misinformation. We're now, this Aquarius, this removal of the veil, to me, now we're in the age of fucking information, or the age of abundance, but it's definitely the right type of information that we're going to have now. You understand? And that's why the truth is obscure, because we've just had all of these mountains of lies thrown on top of these little half-truths. It's now a madness in the world for you to discern what's true and what's not true, what's real and what's not real, what's fake or what's a hoax and what's genuine. Do you understand? What's authentic and what's GMO, what's natural, what's a fucking clone. You understand? Because now we're into this obscurity where if I give people a certain amount of facts, it's obscure to them unless they already have information related to this, or they go and look at it for themselves and confirm it for themselves. More time it's just obscure. There's no facts no more. Everybody's got an opinion about everything. Do you understand? And this is why the Rothschilds is saying truth don't matter no more, because they did this deliberately. I was speaking about a misinformation campaign and an information war way down in 2016. I was telling people, yo, there's secret organizations like your FBI and CIA and stuff that deliberately put out narratives. They put out stories in the news. They put out movies. They put out music videos, certain narratives that are completely untrue. It's for a certain agenda. It's for a reason. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they have to keep us misinformed. They have to keep us misinformed. This is a big part of how this shit works. They have to keep us dumb so we don't really understand what's going on. Do you understand? So that means if anybody comes with the truth in this kind of obscurity, then people are going to say, oh, this nigga's crazy. This is really obscure. They can't make this shit out. And then they're going to judge your intelligence based on their ability to comprehend you or not comprehend you. This is the kind of society that we're in. You understand? The truth is obscure because we've just come out of the misinformation, and because a lot of people are finding that we all clung to different bits of misinformation to do with history, to do with science, to do with religion, to do with humanity, to do with race, to do with aliens, whatever. We all fucking, there's bits and pieces of misinformation that still control certain aspects of our thinking. So if you're not open-minded, because we're in this obscurity, a lot of people just can't process none of this shit that's going on. So they rather just stick to their belief. They need to believe that the government will never do this, or they need to believe that it's for the greater good, or they need to believe that Jesus is going to float out the clouds. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, people need to believe, humanity needs something to believe in. They so afraid of the truth that they need to believe in the lie. They keep forcing the lie to be real. People like me end up being called heretical. You understand? End up being called conspiracy theorists. If that don't work, they come with the hate speech. They say, okay, he always talks about race. And, yo, them niggas there is teaching hate speech. Like, it's the easiest way to lock someone off. Or, oh, that person's anti-Semitic. It's the easiest way to lock someone off. Because like I said, the truth is obscure. And it's so much worse than the lie that most people won't even entertain a fucking minute of it, because it totally disrupts their whole doctrine or their whole understanding of what this reality is. Do you understand? So they use that you're a heretic, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a you're teaching hate speech, you're anti-Semitic, you're fucking sexist, you're against anything to throw you off, so that people will not listen to your message. And now they've got an even better way, because with social media now, they can just hit you with that shadow banning censorship shit where you just lock off. You understand? But this is why, yeah, the Rothschilds knows how this ends. They know about Operation Looking Glass. They know it don't end well for them. So these actors are playing a game right now, because they know a certain amount of humanity are going to fall for what they say. Do you understand? And they have to hope, even though they know that they can't change the fucking end for them, they're still trying. So they're going to come out with daft speeches like this, or the truth doesn't matter no more. Of course it doesn't matter, in the sense that people really don't give a shit what you're saying. People have to realize what's going on for themselves. But it doesn't mean that the truth about all these lies that we've been fed, and the truth being triumphant, yeah, it doesn't matter. Of course it fucking matters. And only a devil would say the things that Rothschilds has said. He's exposed himself. If you never believed these guys are devils in the flesh, demons, yeah, before, you need to go and listen to what that man said, and how he said it, and how much detail, and how easy it is for him to say. Because him saying that could just means, yo, the truth don't matter no more. We can say what the fuck we want. We can show you all the truth in movies, cartoons, music videos, and y'all can't do shit about it. It don't matter no more. So it depends how you take what he's saying, but I take it in all them ways. I take it to mean all of that shit. Do you understand? They tell you what the fuck they're gonna do to you, and laugh over it, laugh about it, like that Hulu advert. Yeah, but they underestimated that consciousness is going to continue to shift, and they can't control the way that it shifts. Yeah, and they ain't going to be able to control the quickening neither, because I told people before that there's no longer 24 hours in a day. It was more like 16 hours a day, and I told people this on the back of the end of 2020. Do you understand? Now one of the sisters today, shout out Alethea, she sent me something today where it's like, yo, this shit's 8 hours a day right now. And because we're so fucking saturated by this lie of a world, most of us can't see it. And I've actually mentioned this before, that they're using magic, so you can't look at your watch or your clock and realize that, hold on, there's only fucking 8 hours in a day right now. But everything's flying by so fast, you wonder to yourself, hold on, how are we already on the fucking, what is it, the 12th or 13th of February? It was just the 2nd. It was the 2nd of February, just like a blink ago. And now we in fucking like the 12th or the 13th and shit, man. It's like Valentine's Day. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the quickening is happening. If you go back to the Quran, like I was sharing with the sister Leafy when she sent me that meme, I was like, if you go back to the Quran, there's a part where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how in the last days he's going to have to speed up time, because shit's going to get so dread. If you don't speed up time, everyone's going to fucking fail. The demiurge will just win. You understand? Because no one will make it. So the Quran is saying that, yo, in the last days, Allah's going to speed up time and get us through this tribulation period quick. It's going to happen quick. And it's referred to as the quickening. Yeah. And I've been saying, at least since 2020 started, that bastard, this is the quickening, where things just like, whoosh, shit's just flying. Imagine this lockdown shit was like 2 years ago when it started or something. Like, hold on. It's just, yo. So the more you pay attention to time, because time is a mental construct anyway, it can be manipulated real easy. Do you understand? And it's real easy for you to miss time, especially when you're enjoying yourself or you're being distracted from time. Hours can pass and it seems like a minute. Yeah, everybody knows that. So it's not hard to believe what I'm saying here. And I'm not saying to believe it. Go and do your own research. But I'm telling you right now, there's only 8 hours in a day at present. There's only something like 3 days a week. And it's a madness. You understand? It's not what you were taught in school about 60 minutes in an hour and 24 hours in a day, and all that shit's dead. And that's why it just seems like, hold on, where's the time gone? Time is just skipping, and it's having an effect on children and everything, because it's like they're not staying young as long no more. Remember when an hour used to be real long when you was a child? They tell you, yo, an hour's like you could fucking explore half the fucking world in an hour when you was a kid, when you was a child. Now an hour's like a 5 minutes thing. Oh, in an hour, okay, wicked. You look sharp, an hour's gone. You're like, yo. So yeah, the manipulation of time is just like the weather right now. People are more studying the chemtrails, the spraying of the weather, the harp and stuff. But don't lose track that time is also being manipulated on a major way right now, to the point where most people can't even fucking realize it. They'll say this nigga's crazy if he says there's only 8 hours in a day. You understand? Because they'll put it down to the watch. They won't understand the magic behind this shit. So the Rothschilds knows how this ends, man. They're just good actors. That's why they put them in cartoons like The Simpsons, Mr. Burns and all that shit. Yeah. And I want you to realize that since they made this psychological weapon, this one-ton soup, yeah, all the authoritarian oversight, all the measures that they brought in to deal with this thing, that they said it will be gone when this shit's done, they're not really gone. Like, of course, they relax restrictions and stuff, but the change of laws and the little moving of the goalposts here and there, notice that they don't change them shits back. Like that track and trace system, that shit's still in play with a lot of shit and a lot of people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because weak humans, yeah, so many of us participated in this bullshit experiment. Because so many of us participated in it, yeah, and validated what they're doing, yeah, you'll find that you're now stuck with a lot of them authoritarian oversight measures, bills, acts, and shit that they pass, and that your silence was like fucking compliance, was like, yo, you condone this shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I want to say as well, the reason why he's saying the truth doesn't matter is because chosen ones, even people like myself, are being heavily censored. So people like me don't matter in the grand scheme of online communities and social media platforms and big audiences, because they've found a way to silence all the people that what they're saying is really going to kick some ass. It's really going to make people question and kind of fucking move on the knowledge. They're not just going to sit down and go from this video to a next video. That shit, what I'm saying to them is probably going to sit with them for a while, and it's going to stir in them. Do you understand? It's not just sensationalism. Do you understand? It's going to connect with people in a certain way where they start making some deep changes within themselves and around themselves. So all the people like myself, I believe, to many of you, I might just sound like I'm salty because I ain't got a big following, but I'm really not. I don't really care about that. I care more about the legacy of just, yo, I did my best. But what I'm saying, I really believe in. I believe there's algorithms just for people like me that say certain words and say it in a certain way, that, yo, just censor all of that shit there across the board, all platforms. I think there's algorithms in place that certain ones of the chosen ones will not have a big following. You have to find them. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, because the haystack is got all the glitter, the glitz and glamour. They got the whole shit. It looks the part, it sounds the part. They're selling snake oil. That's just how I feel. I feel like the dragon race got us by the balls. So just like they have planted leaders, a lot of these people online, it's like they planted chosen ones. Yeah. And if any of you watched the last live, I know my face was cut off it because I was just sitting too close to the camera and all of that stuff. I was talking about H.G. Wells and his radio edit of Orson Welles' book. What was it? War of the Worlds. In fucking, it was wrote in 1838. They ran that radio thing in 1938, and it's funny that the author's name Orson Welles, and then the guy at the radio who used the book is named H.G. Wells. I don't even know if there's a connection there. But then you got 1838, and then you got 1938. It's a mad thing. But anyway, I want you to think about all the stuff that was going on in the world in 1938 when they ran that alien experiment, when they came on the radio and broadcast that the Earth had been invaded by fucking men from Mars or Venus or wherever it was, and they landed in a certain spot in America and shit, and the world went into a fucking hysteria, into a madness. Do you understand? Think about what was going on, because if you say 1938, in 1914 was World War One, and then you had the Great Depression, the stock market crash in 1929, and then you had the Nazis and the Fool Society building up into this Nazi dictatorship, yeah, going into World War Two with the Fool Society and all this stuff about Atlantis. It was real. And there was also all this Nazi propaganda going around, and racism, esoteric information, the same theosophy from Madame Blavatsky and them. You had the threat of nuclear war, communism. You had all this new technology like planes, cars, TV, electricity, and all this so-called new technology. So if you look at now, yeah, it's the same. Yeah, we're looking at World War. They was coming out of World War One and going into World War Two. They had a stock market crash in 1929. We had the fucking whole stock market crash just the other day. What was it, 2008 or whatever? That we're still feeling the effects of now. They had the Nazi dictatorship. We got all this dictatorship shit happening now with Putin, and even in our own countries, in Australia and in China and all that shit. They had Nazi propaganda. We got all this alternative facts and all this shit the media putting out with the wonton soup and all of that kind of crap. Do you understand? All of this esoteric information, we've now got all this truth for shit, like the Matrix people, red pillars and shit, which acts like the esoteric information. Yeah, they had all the alien stuff, Foo Fighters and shit going on, flying saucers and shit, anti-gravity from the 1890s and stuff. We got all the alien UFO phenomenon, Pentagon shit going on now. Do you understand? And I said on that last live that when the record started in 1970, it was being reported that there was 100 sightings a day, UFO sightings, category D, which means they're not hoaxes. These are unexplained. 100 per year, and it rised every year. Listen, in 2020 there was 8,000 reports, man. Cat D, 8 fucking thousand. That's how far it's risen from that 100 sightings per year in the 1970s. Today in 2022, it's more like 8,000 fucking category D alien sightings per year. Do you understand? So all of the fucking hysteria that was going on around 1938, when they did that trick on the radio with H.G. Wells on Halloween fucking night, yeah, and scared out the fucking entire world population, or the 6 million people who were listening to that shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they did a study after to study the effects and the people's reaction. They wanted to know how people reacted to it when they first heard that. Did you believe it? Did you not believe it? Did you have to go outside your house and go and find other people and verify this shit? Or did you just stay in your house? You understand? They really went in on this, I think it was called a Cantrill report, or the Cantrill study that they still use today to justify why they should cover shit up, because they didn't like the reaction from the public and think that the public will melt down anytime they disclose aliens in that kind of way. So what we're seeing now is what I predicted, that we're going to have a soft disclosure. They're never just going to drop it as bricks on your head. They're going to just trickle it out, trickle it out, trickle it out. And that's why you got planted fucking people in society where they're paid to trickle out the information. They're not paid to be on me and your side and fucking find solutions and expose what's really going on. They're only allowed to talk about certain levels of the shit and kind of like gatekeep the shit. And I will throw names in the hat like David Icke and Alex Jones and fucking Joe Rogan and all these celebrities that they give you and give them a big platform and give them a big following, so a whole bunch of sheepish people will join on to them and just keep following what these people are saying. And don't get me wrong, listen to these people, but don't get swallowed down that sinkhole, whether it's the Russell Brand, the Joe Rogan, because they're all sensationalists, and especially if they're Muzungu, they don't understand what's going on the world from an indigenous narrative. And I don't care how racist that sounds. There's no Muzungu man that can explain in all of the emotion and all of the details what's going on earth. They can only explain it to a certain extent because they don't have our experience and they weren't here in the start. So I say all of this to say, man, it's just psychology and mental manipulation going on. And that's why people like the Rothschilds can come out and say truth doesn't matter no more, and nobody don't even give a shit. No one's not even talking about it. It's like it don't mean nothing. That's how much of a hypnotic spell this the residents of this society is now under, that they won't even challenge that shit. I ain't heard nobody challenge that shit but me. I say the truth always matters. Do you understand? Even when the truth is hidden, even when the truth is obscure, even when it's been missing, it matters more than ever. Do you understand? So I want to sit back and see who else is going to come out and speak against this shit. Well, they must be under the spell too. Because like I said, a lot of people that took that wonton soup, they will now give up anything under the name of sustainable development out of fear of loss and fear of death and all that type of shit. And the hysteria and the sheep factor, the kind of hive mind that's been conditioned into society now, conditioned for everyone to conform or feel like you ain't doing your part if you ain't allowing them to rape to commit medical rape. You understand what I'm saying? That's what they're doing, and they're trying to, yeah, they're trying to inconvenience the people that want to be a resistance. Because like I told you, most humans in this society can't live without certain conveniences. They'll talk a good game because it's trendy and it makes them a living. They can have a big platform, make some money. That fucking YouTube money's pretty good, I've heard. That Instagram money or whatever money, once you get in them fucking 20,000, 50,000, yo, you're golden to them. You're helping to keep people's attention on their shit. So they're not gonna just let you say anything and work against them. You have to be smart, like Ralph Smart, who I rate that guy because he found a way to beat their algorithms, yeah, and still give you the same that people want to say he's soft. He might knock off your head. You met him in real life, he might be harder than you, but he's smart enough to know, yo, I'm gonna have to approach this a different way, or I'm not gonna be able to fucking say nothing. They just gonna censor, man, and he dances around that censor shit. Like that shit, I don't even believe this nigga's human. I believe that nigga was sent to us. Yeah, shout out Ralph Smart. But yeah, most people out here just doing this shit to make a living, man. It's trendy. It's a job right now. It's a fucking genre. Yeah, truth talking. And half of these people don't even know what the fuck they talking about. They're just reposting videos and recirculating fucking regurgitating information. They're not putting it in context or spreading it out or unpacking it or discussing it in the way that it's supposed to be discussed, in a kind of question and answer forum, or in a Zoom or some shit like that, or putting it in books with your own words and shit like that, with references that back up your own shit. Like, people are just onto this glitter and glamour and this celebrity shit, man. That's all I wanted to say, guys. I'm not going to stretch this out. That's perfect. It's about an hour, so I'm going to go through some of these quotes. And I'm blocking this fucking, sorry about my language, person. Yeah. This Russian whatever. Yeah, I don't understand why they keep coming on the page and putting these Russian. I don't look like Putin, nigga. Fuck off. You get me? Yeah, man. Peace, Jared. I'm looking forward to that interview tomorrow. Guys, if you're around tomorrow from 5 to 6 and you feel like listening to a good tabletop discussion, I'm having a discussion, should be tomorrow, 5 to 6, our time, English time, with a great fighter from the UFC, Jared Cannonier. Great person, yeah. I'm gonna have a good tabletop discussion with him tomorrow, and I'll invite you guys to come, sit down, listen to what he's got to say, because there's a lot of jewels that he could give to the Medjay and stuff. And I believe we should be celebrating the people who have worked hard to get where they are against all the challenges and shit that they had to go through. And I'm a UFC fan, fighting fan, being a warrior myself. You understand? So any of you guys that's into that kind of just brothers connecting with other brothers, and I'm gonna have a few people on there. Some people you might consider famous, some people you might consider unknown, but to me they're all game changers and they're all beautiful human beings. So definitely, if you're into that type of stuff, add us on at TZT underscore publishing underscore group on Instagram, where we'll have that tomorrow from 5 to 6 and kick off this game changer series. All right. Anything else on here? These anybody who don't speak English and puts comments on my things, I'm just gonna block you off of the advice of the Kendakis. Yeah, I'm just gonna block you so you can't be on here. Yeah, I don't want to hear it, man. I don't speak Russian. I don't speak Ukrainian or none of that shit. I speak true. So if you ain't wise enough, wherever you come from in the world, to speak in the language that we're speaking on here, then you're just trolling. You understand? Shout out to Christoph Richards. Greetings, family. TikTok and esoteric reasonings don't go together. Gold and plastics can't work together. Your info is superior to the noise of social media, King. Yeah, I can see what you're saying there, man. It's going to be real good, Jared. I'm looking forward to it myself, man. Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah. A lot of guys, they, like I'm saying, they like the big following, the celebrity and stuff. And so most people, if you talk about UFC, they're going to talk about Ngannou and the Style Bender and Usman. And I love all them guys. I love all my guys. You understand? But I want y'all to know that there's other people out there too that have got their story to tell and that are doing big things too. And my guy Jared Cannonier there, the Killer Gorilla, you can follow him on Instagram at Killer Gorilla. And go and support the dude, man, because I like fighters who have been through a journey. I don't necessarily like fighters who have never lost, because a lot of the time they can be like on an ego thing, and then when they lost when they lose their first fight, it completely throws them off, and you find out, hold on, this is not the same dude. They go on to just become shit. But when you're a warrior, and this is in life as well, and you've taken certain falls, yeah, and you're not defeated. If you've learned from that fall and that loss, you're not defeated because you can't win them all. And sometimes it's in that loss that pushes you to find your treasures that you would have never found that shit if you never lost. You would have probably just remained that standard and not push yourself more. So Jared Cannonier is definitely one of them people who I don't just talk to say to sound good. Like, I really watched his fights and I really watched the shit that he came through. And like I said, when I first met him on Instagram, I had no idea this guy was doing UFC. I thought one day after he came and inquired about my books and bought a few of my books, I felt ignorant. Like, hold on, I've never gone on his page and had a look at his page. And this man, I've always seen his little sign when I'm doing lives and stuff. He's always supported me. So now he's paid for these books and I'm about to sign these books and sell them to him. I'm thinking, yo, let me just go and have a look on his page and like some shit. Because this guy's been following me for a while and I've never gone and get back to him. So even though it's a bit hypocritical to do it now that he's bought books, it's the least I can do. Go and show him, yo, I support you too, whatever you're doing. Gone on this guy's page, he's a UFC fighter. And for me, that was great because I feel like I really felt genuineness before I knew that. You understand? I read people quite well. And so it allowed me to just connect on a human basis and put us in the opportunity now where we can have a tabletop discussion. If you haven't watched his fights, go and watch his fights. If you haven't followed him on Instagram, go and follow him on Instagram. Yeah. Send him some compliments, send him some light, send him some love. The bond between brothers is a sword that defends the nation. You understand? So like I said, we're going to start that off tomorrow on TZT page, which is being shadow banned, by the way. They don't want us to grow. But it still has good lives on there. And I know a time will come where more people will come to it. The ban will come off. So yeah, guys, have a good night. I just wanted to put that information out, man, because after I heard that shit about the Rothschilds today, I thought somebody got to say something, man. No one ain't talking about this shit. Don't make no sense. Shout out to Hub H, man. Shout out to Hub H. Yeah, man, give him a follow, man. Go and give him some support. You get me? It's not just about the three champions. It's about all our brothers, man. Those who are at the start of their journey, those who are in the middle, those who are in the end. As long as it's a good human being, and all of them people we call the good human beings. But I wish Jared all the success also. Do you understand? For him to prosper, and I support his thing. Uh, what do you think about some of this? Is Celestial Samurai, the viewer with the best name in the world, Celestial Samurai, yeah? Who's this geezer now? War, whatever. Let me lock off these people here, man. These, I don't know if it's Putin's people. He's just sending them, my man. What do you think about some of these so-called spiritual YouTubers that have a somewhat large following? Are most compromised and spreading misinformation? Can you recommend anyone like you? Um, I can't remember her name, you know. I recommend Dr. Mumbi, man, because I've sat with Dr. Mumbi for many times and she touches my heart. Yeah, so and I recommend for you to feel the person out, like really try and feel the person, like the intention, way, not just what they're saying, but how they're saying it. Weigh up everything. I'm sure you can discern for yourself. So I'm not gonna call a whole list of people for you to go and who I would recommend. I would definitely recommend Dr. Mumbi, and I definitely recommend, rather than listening to these YouTube philosophers and stuff, even myself, go back to the people I spoke on, Ivan Van Sertima and Sheikh Anta Diop and Dr. Ben and Dr. York and Ivan Van Sertima and Kaba Kameni. Go back to the people who had to go the extra mile to bring you what they're bringing you. They didn't just sit at home like I'm doing here on a chair and speak over social media. They had to go out into the fields, man. They had to face Egyptologists. They had to come here and go to the British Museum to question certain authorities. They had to join UNESCO. They had to go to uni and shit and get degrees in Egyptology. Like Sheikh Anta Diop was really a geneticist. He wasn't just someone who speaks. He was a geneticist. He was taking DNA from the mummies and taking it back to Dakar, Senegal, where his radiocarbon lab was, and proving that these mummies were black Africans. So if I'm going to recommend anyone, I'm going to recommend the master teachers whose work is infallible. I'm not really going to recommend no social media people other than Dr. Mumbi. Do you understand? I'll leave her name in there, but I'm not really gonna. I'll direct you back to the masters, man. Whether you're watching them on YouTube, whether you purchase their books and do an in-depth study that way, I recommend them. You understand? Because I'm a author and a publisher, and I believe the pen is mightier than the sword, and the sword can be seen as a tongue. So to me, books are mightier than speaking, because books can outlive you. They can stand the test of time. Your words will be, when they're written down, they can become bigger than you. They can outlive you. They can go into other ages and shit. So I recommend the people that scribble, the scribes, especially our own master teachers that went through hell in the times that they was around. It weren't like now where we got so much freedom. They was being called nigger and all this shit 10 times worse than we was now. And they managed to bring out the beauty and glory of our legacy, because we don't have a history, we have a fucking legacy. There's a big difference. Everybody else on the planet, they got history. Yeah, we've got a legacy. That's what we are as black people, anywhere we are on the planet. So I definitely, like, if I would spin my camera, I've got Sheikh Anta Diop here, I've got the Book of Tar Hotep, you understand what I'm saying? I've got J.A. Rogers, Sex and Race. They're the people I'm going to recommend to you. You understand? Like Marcus Garvey, all of them folk. Orion Daystar, follow Orion Daystar. He a warrior, like Hub Hate said. I also follow, yeah, man. Just follow, like feel out everything. Feel from the inside. You can make a connection with people, and if you listen long enough, you can hear lies. If you listen to somebody long enough, you'll be able to discern that person they're lying, man, or uh, they capping, they speaking on shit they really don't know about. And It's easy because all you have to do is throw a question out. Throw a question and see if they really know what they're talking about, or if they just, you understand, it's just a gimmick thing. Like, that's why people get in trouble when they mess with Jadefre, because they find out quickly, hold on, this nigga know what he talking about. I ain't gonna be able to trip him up. This nigga is schooled. You understand? So make sure the people that you're dealing with are schooled, and if you have to question them, don't feel bad for questioning them. Question everything. You understand? The only people that don't like questions are liars. Anybody else, they love it. I love, if you question me more with questions, I will stay here answering questions. Question, that's the best way. Open forum, question and answer, because then we can both grow. Because I'm not going to sit here like I know everything. You might know some shit I don't know. I might have to tell you, oh, I don't know, you know. It hasn't happened often because of what we're speaking about. But yo, I'm not going to sit here and go on like I know everything. I'm happy not to know certain things and find out when time wants to reveal to me, for me, if they think I'm worthy of finding out. And I'm happy with what I know. You understand? It's enough. Like, I speak what I know, and I know what I speak. Leave the fucking rest. And yo, it's got me to where I am now, where I'm 6 books deep, and I'm comfortable doing lives with you guys. You understand? Even when my room's a mess and shit. So yeah, man, I recommend that, man. Find the teacher in yourself and the confirmation in yourself. Yourself's gonna tell you, you know what, Jadefre is proper, or yourself is gonna tell you he's a dickhead. Do you understand? And whatever yourself takes, whatever yourself tells you, believe that shit. Take that shit. And that goes for anyone. Do you understand what I'm saying? But definitely, please join us tomorrow on that Instagram live, and go and follow up Jared, man, because I really wanted him to kick it off. I thought, yo, I want to kick this off big, so I'm going to ask my man. You understand? And he was happy to do it. So I'm looking forward to it. He's looking forward to it. Y'all should look forward to it. Uh, and many more. You understand? But if there's no more questions, I'm gonna go. Just observe and collect and use your discernment. That's it, man. And trust. Trust in your decisions. When you make a decision on someone or something, trust on it, especially your first decision. You understand? Just trust the process, man, and trust that you're gonna have all the love you need is already here, all the knowledge you need is already here, all the protection you need is already here, all the money you need is already here. You just have to align. You just have to find the right alignment and align with the things that you see. Anything that you want to be, you already are that. You just have to align with it. Anything you want to have, you already have that. You just have to align yourself to get it. And it may take letting go of some shit that's stopping you, that's blocking you from receiving what's out there for you, you know? That's it. I ain't got nothing else. You're definitely proper, Jedefre. I knew from the first live I watched you. You know what? I put everything into this shit, man, because as far as I'm concerned, like, there's a lot of people when I study history, in their life, they never got no recognition, you know. Niggas didn't even like fucking, like, I'll give you an example. There's a philosopher called Heraclitus, and they don't know much about him. What they know about him is from other philosophers who, in that classical time, certain other philosophers will mention him in their writings and say, "Well, I had a debate with Heraclitus, and yeah, he people say he's all this and he was a big name, but in his time." He never really got no recognition. He gets recognition now because they've found other philosophers, so many of them, that have mentioned this guy and what his philosophy was and shit. I mention it in my new book, Today is Tomorrow's Yesterday, The Persistence of Existence, which heavily goes into philosophy and gives you a little taste of all the different types of philosophy, like imperialism and fucking all these different, like 5 6 different type of philosophies, Eastern philosophy, Sufi philosophy, and gives you characters like Heraclitus, Aristotle when they were born. um you understand, even Muslim philosophers and stuff. Yo, so you can have a little peek of, okay, so this is what philosophy is different than religion then. Yeah, because it's like a comparison. It's a combination of philosophy, metaphysics, and religion, all compared, contrasted against the ancient teachings, the higher mysteries of the ancient teachings, like Dogon sciences and ancient Kemetic pyramid sciences and stuff. So it's a mind-blowing book that's been 6 years in the making, yeah. But yeah, all the answers are inside you guys. You'll be able to know who's false, and you'll be able to know who's real. That's why it says, test every spirit. Test every spirit. Everybody that comes in the name of the Most High, or the name of ancestors, or the name of Jesus, or the name of fucking Darth Vader, whatever name he comes in, test that spirit, man. And don't feel away for testing them. Come up with questions, real questions. Do you understand? And that's why it's so important for you to do your own in-depth study of things, everything, so that you can have at least, well, this is my take on certain thing. Let me hear what his take is. Don't just come with no take, not having studied nothing, and just listening to all these people, because you'll become confused. You have to have your own foundation and trust in your own mental court, where you're the judge, jury, and executioner. Do you understand? And you trust in your own discernment to say, well, I don't care what other people say. I like this person. Yeah, I'm not influenced by the he say, she say. I'm doing my own study. Or I don't care what people say. I don't like this person. Everybody might like that person. I don't like them teachings. That shit don't resonate with me. Like, stop following the crowd. Stop looking for numbers. So you can tell yourself, okay, this must be the right thing, because look how big the following is. Bet loads of people believe in this shit. Like, if loads more time, if you see the majority, fuck off. If it's a big number, yo, that's not it. That's how I see it. I'm not down for this majority thing, because to me the majority of the world is crazy. Do you understand? Don't get me wrong. There are successful people who are starseeds, who their light shining so bright. It's a problem where they can't just shut them down like that, because they got too much eyes on them. It will be too weird. So don't get me wrong. It's not everybody with a big platform. There's some kind of conspiracy behind them. But generally speaking, 9 out of 10 of them guys is like that. So that's why it's so important to have your own discernment, to have your own sat navigation, where you can, and you're not just seeing with eyes. So it's not just a glitter thing. Yeah, it's not just a glitter thing. You're seeing with your insight. You're making a connection by feeling from inside. So you can connect with this energy. You can feel it. This is the truth. Your body resonates with this shit. Or somebody might speak and you don't resonate with that shit. It's not a diss. You understand? Some people like cheese and onion. Some people like ready salted. Some people like salt and vinegar. It's not a diss. Or if you don't want to listen to Jedefre or whatever, I've got people like that where I don't. It's not that I don't like them, but the way that they present themselves and they present their message, it don't sit well with me. I'll give you an example. Shout out Bobby Hemmett. I don't listen to Bobby Hemmett. A lot of people do. They like that shit. From the first time I heard Bobby Hemmett, my vibration was like, I don't really need this type of vibration. You understand? I'm not saying there's not stuff that he says that is good, but I could get that from somewhere else. Like, I don't need to sit here in a vibration that troubles me. I don't know why. I'm just troubled by it. Or Farrakhan. Since I was a kid, I shouldn't say kid, since I was a child, I told my mum and them I don't like my man. They always make jokes about it. But if I said that as a child and I still feel like that till this day, is a reason for it. So it's not everybody that you have to like just because people are saying, oh, have you heard this person? Have you heard Jedefre? You might not like that shit. That shit might not work for you. You got to chew the meat and spit out the bones. Some people will like it, some people won't like it. Do you understand? My style of delivery or whatever. And it's the same with anybody else. So you've really got to develop your own individual, personalized set of conditions as to how you navigate yourself through this realm. Don't look for majority or confirmation through majority, because that's a sheep factor thing. That's a hive mentality. And a lot of weak people, they need you to believe in their Islam, or they need you to believe that Jesus, white Jesus shit, or they need you to believe in the fucking their version of the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. If they tell you something and you don't agree, it's a fucking problem for them. Me and you can disagree on everything, like anything. Like I tell you, you chew the meat and spit out the bone. Some things I say might not resonate with you. You don't have to take in everything I say. Some things that I say might not work for you. It might work for another person. Do you understand what I'm saying? So take what works for you and make it more about you and your growth in your understanding of what this realm is and what's currently going on around us and how you can stay a step ahead of events. If you're good at predicting events, knowing looking at these current events and saying, boy, this is what's going to happen. And you constantly see that shit's happening, just like, then stay on that path. You're a step ahead of the game. You understand? That's how I feel. Like I'm a couple months ahead of, if there was going to be a nuclear bomb, I should feel like, bastard, I think in 2 weeks there's going to be a nuclear bomb. So I've at least got a couple weeks to, yo, I trust in my shit. Do you understand? And that's where we have to go. Do you think a bird's going to say, bastard? All the birds are saying a hurricane's going to come, you know. But fuck that, I'm just going to stay here. They're tuned in. Do you understand? They trust in their shit. Listen, I got to dig up now, leave this nest, and fly 3,000 miles over here. Otherwise, I'm dead. Yeah? Boom, he's gone. There's no doubt. There's no hesitation. We got to get back to that sat navigation. Yeah? And it starts with information. We're claiming back our information and claiming back our own legacy. Because when we start doing that, we start to see how similar all our conclusions will come. We start to see a pattern, like, bastard, ultimately there's only one truth, you know, objectively. And the more you go into yourself and the more you go into that kind of just Xing out all of the bullshit, all of the beliefs and opinions and dogmas and stuff, and just stick to factual, observable reality as much as you can, you start seeing a totally different picture of the history of this planet and civilization and religion and God and all of that shit than what this narrative is telling you. Yeah, I'm gonna go now because my mum's calling, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, Namaste, mum, give me 1 minute. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this and you can draw from it and you can use it to further your own studies. All right, vibes, peace, shout out, love, Namaste.